Hi folks, my name is Emmanuel John. Welcome to Addiction Questions and Answers. Got a question today from California. Before I do that, my name is Emmanuel John. I've had over 30 years of experience working in the addiction field and pretty much every treatment modality there is. And I want to give you some of my experience and some insights to your specific questions because I know there are many surrounding addiction. So our question today comes from Jenna in California, and she states, I'm a recovering opiate addict. I've never had a problem with alcohol, and I don't understand why people think I can't drink without having a problem. I'm still waiting for a real answer. The first of that, part of that real answer, first it's a very long answer. I can't do that all here today. I have written a book, Addiction, Am I Powerless? Explains it in depth. But I'll do my best to answer it here today. Our biggest problem with this question is that we often separate alcohol and drugs. We say alcohol and drugs, alcoholic and addict, when essentially they're the same thing. All an alcoholic is an alcohol addict. Opiate addict is an opiate addict, a person who's addicted to opiates. So we are sort of responsible in the addiction treatment field for creating this confusion. But one of the reasons why we do is because if we don't say both, people will automatically think they're separate and thinking about the other. If we say, well, I'm treating alcoholics, they say, oh, you don't treat drug addicts. Or I'm treating drug addicts. Does that mean you don't help alcoholics? There's this sort of false illusion of a difference. There isn't a difference. An alcoholic is an opiate addict. An alcoholic is an alcohol addict. And it would be very common and very logical for an alcoholic to walk into a meeting of NA and say, I'm Joe and I'm a recovering alcohol addict. And really no one could argue with him. So, Jenna, your question, that's the first part, is there isn't a difference. A drug is a drug is a drug. Why is a drug a drug a drug? Mostly because they all reduce inhibitions and they all make us feel other than the way we feel. They all alter how we are and how we feel and how we act. Alcohol is a big problem because alcohol works on a neurotransmitter called GABA. And GABA is everything right now is great. Everything is, I'm invincible. It's almost like a Superman kind of a chemical in our body. So the problem with alcohol is that it reduces our inhibitions. When you're a recovering addict, you have an inhibition. I can't use opiates. If I use opiates, I'm going to have a problem, and it's going to cause me difficulties, and I'm going to have to withdraw again and go through all that process. You're inhibited. What happens if you put alcohol, a drug that works on GABA in your body, an anxiety-reducing drug in your body? You are less anxious about the idea of using. You are less inhibited to use another drug. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to go out and have one drink and then go to your opiate. It could mean that you wake up the next day and you still have alcohol in you. You don't necessarily feel drunk, but for some reason you see a pill and it seems like a good reason to take it. Or you're out partying with a bunch of people and somebody offers one, like, man, I haven't had those for so long. And at that moment in time, you won't think about your NA, and you won't think about your experience in treatment, and you won't think about your opiates. You'll think you want to be normal. I just want to be normal. Why can't I just have a good time and relax? So the biggest problem is it reduces your inhibitions, and you're inhibited not to use your other drugs. So alcohol is sort of a really bad idea when it comes to that. You're going to have to get some clean time away from everything if you want to heal from the damage that addiction does. Doesn't mean that you'll be able to use later. I'm not saying you can't. I don't know your story. I don't know your history. And eventually, it's going to be a risk that you may take. One commonality with addicts and alcoholics is that they are all risk takers. Some people believe that that's how an addict gets into trouble in the first place. They use, oh, it won't be that bad, I'll use a little more. Oh, it's one drink, oh, I'll drink a little more. Yeah, I'm drunk, I got a little buzz, but what's one more? They're risk takers. We used to say that they were the kids who get on the bike and ride down the hill and jump over the car or the curb or the whatever the thing is, and they take that risk in endangering themselves. So if that's in your personality, you're a risk taker. If you're an addict, you're quite possibly a risk taker. You've taken some risks. Using is a gamble. So if we take a risk-taking personality and we reduce their inhibitions, they're more likely to take risks. That's the biggest problem. I would like for every addict to be able to figure out why they use. You might want to ask yourself a simple question and then pause the screen while you answer it for yourself. Why do you use? What's it do for you? When you put a chemical in you, what does it do for you? When you did your drug of choice, opiate, what did it do for you? Tell me right now. How did it make you feel different? What was the feeling? Pause. Okay, back from the pause. Hopefully you did. You answered that question for yourself. So what was the feeling? What did you come up with? It helped me forget. It made me feel better. It reduced my stress. It changed the way you felt. That's why. You just wanted to change the way you feel. You didn't say, hey, I want to be an opiate addict because I like changing the way I feel with opiates. You like changing the way you feel, so you became an opiate addict eventually, based on your question. So another drug is just going to change the way you feel. Why don't you feel okay now? Why aren't you okay without the chemical in you, without any chemical in you? Ultimately, if we want to be healthy people, we need to find that first. In our society, we don't do that too often. We feel like drinking alcohol is like sort of a rite of passage, and that we're not successful people if we can't go out and have a couple beers. You're not a very comfortable person if you need to do it. If you need to have the alcohol to talk to people. It's tough. It's a tough question because for a lot of addicts, they just want to be normal. I just want a normal life. And the longer they're clean and sober, the more normal their lives begin to get, and the more normal they think they are, and the less risk they think it'll be to take it. So it's a long question. I mean, a long answer. It's much longer than I have the time to go to here. Check out the book, Addiction, Am I Powerless? Let's look at powerless. Let's not look at addict. If you have powerlessness over chemicals, you may have powerlessness over all chemicals. If you can't drink caffeine without becoming addicted to it, if you can't smoke cigarettes without becoming addicted to it, there's a couple different drugs there that we have an addictive potential issue with. So are we now saying that this one other chemical I'm immune to, I'm not going to become an addict when I have a history of becoming an addict? So again, I hope that helps. I hope you can make it through. Just put it off one more day if you have to. Make that decision later. It's a whole lot easier to wake up in the morning and wonder whether or not you should drink than it is to wake up in the morning and wonder whether or not you need to stop. So it's an easier question to battle with on a daily basis than the I need to quit one. So good luck to you. I hope you take care of yourself, and I hope that helps. I hope other people gain from your question too. It's a great question, one that many people struggle with. Even it might sound crazy, but it gets even harder to resist that urge the longer you stay clean and sober, unless you're fully committed to the process and understand your powerlessness. Take care. Have a great day.